Hey guys, it's Bina, and it's finally here, Serpent Venom Druid. Top tier build, S tier, top tier tankiness, top tier damage, hardcore viable, no snapshot needed, one button build. It's all that you want, except it doesn't have the best clear speed. Here's a kill of Uber Aberoth with Endgame Planner here. Endgame Planner, as you all know, probably familiar right now with all of the builds that we have. Is very obtainable gear. Most of it is like pretty much 1 LP, except that the item is very, very easy to get with multiple LP, and it's very common. But as you can see, we are absolutely wrecking Uber Aberoth here. You are Giga Tank, 100% block chance, over 5k health. It's just like, it's just kind of crazy. This is probably the single best build that we've missed from the start of the season. This was a new discovery. Well, not really a new discovery, because it has been played in the past. So this build has been played in the past, but it used to be bugged. There was a multiplier that used to be bugged that was giving us 4 multipliers instead of only 2. And since they fixed it, the general, I get the general feeling of players was that it was nerfed too much, and that the tankiness wasn't good enough to make this build into a viable build, and like not really recommended. Although this planner was sent to me by Rody. Rody needs no introduction. I talked about him in my latest video, which is he's basically the one that plays hardcore, that races in hardcore pretty much every patch, and then wins the hardcore race to 100. He's done it multiple times in the past. So thank you so much to Rody for sending me this planner, and I've been cooking for over 2 days on this one, non-stop, basically min-maxing everything. I don't know if you guys know, there's so much work that goes into min-maxing a build. Not saying this is the perfect min-max, but it's in a state that I'm happy with, and I'm happy to release it to you guys and show you the build guide here. So as you can see, this last phase, we have so much damage that we don't even get to see him slam in the middle. We just kill him instantly. Now let's go over a little bit of the mapping. So if you want to go into mapping for this one, it is not the best mapper. It is not the best mapper, as you will be able to see here, since we are a Swarmblade form build, and we do use tornadoes to cast Stormbolt, and tornadoes cast Churning Orbs, but all of our damage comes from a single, massive, gigantic Serpent Venom stack, which is a poison damage over time. So we are a damage over time build that also ramps up with the number of stacks that are on the enemy. So you do have to hit with your melee attacks to be able to apply that Serpent Venom. And so basically your tornadoes and lightnings are only there to apply the stacks that will let your Serpent Venom deal more damage. But you still need to hit with the melee attack. So this is why it is, not the fastest mapper, but very, very tanky, good recovery, good tankiness. Overall, really recommended. I think this is probably one of the easiest builds to do Uber Aberoth with in hardcore as well, since it has so much damage and so much tankiness. It is just absolutely amazing. I think this is probably even easier to do Uber Aberoth on this one than on Stormcrows, for example. So this is pretty much the mapping. Now let's jump straight into the guide. I don't want to spend too much time here with this one, but the guide is now released on max roll. The Serpent Venom Druid. Basically, we're a Swarmblade Druid, as I said. Armblade Slash scales poison damage over time. We apply Serpent with Serpent Venom. We apply Serpent Venom with Serpent Strike. So how are we able to use Serpent Strike? We're going to see later on that it is in Swarmblade form. We have access to the skill tree. We have Thorn Totem that explode because of our idols here. We have idols with chance on hit to summon a Thorn Totem. So that is like all of the big explosions that you can see on here that are happening on the screen. Like the gigantic green explosions. All of our hits are summoning many totems. And then there's a node in Thorn Totem tree that makes them summon all of them at once. And so, that just applies so many hits. That is in combination, of course, with the, let me just turn off this sound here. That is in combination, of course, with the Serpent's Milk Amulet. 200% chance to poison on minion hit. Since our totems are minions, they will get this chance. And minions deal 90% less poison damage. We do not care about this, since it is not the minions actually dealing damage. It is our single stack of Serpent Venom. So you want to get as many poison stack and frostbite stacks because of the multipliers that we'll see later on. Our Summon Spriggan is here to give us many buffs, offensive and defensive buffs. And then the build scales in many unconventional ways. As we said, poison stacks, frostbite stacks on the attacker, melee crit chance, and vitality. One important thing to note here is that Weaver's Gift is the only source of damage leech as health. It is a new item from this patch, damage leech from damage over time. This patch also introduces a lot of really great items, which is one of the reasons also why in the previous patches, you know, the tankiness was kind of questionable, because now we have access to leech on our weapon, so we don't have to use Bleeding Heart, which would take the spot of Serpent's Milk, or we don't have to use, there's another item here, what is the name again? Rot Mind, which would give us poison damage leech's health, but still take the place of Bastion of Honor. So now with all of these changes together, we are able to be really tanky, have good damage, and as well, Mantle of Pale Ox, just an amazing, amazing piece of gear. 24% less damage taken since it's redirected to your minions, and we have so many minions. Also, +2 to strength minion skills, which also gives us +2 to Swarmblade form, since Swarmblade has minions. I believe there might be a bug with this one, though, because Serpent Strike actually is a strength skill, and it has access to a minion with Primal Serpent. So I think if you take Primal Serpent, you should have access to +2 levels of Serpent Strike. I've reported this as a bug, but you know, it doesn't really make or break the build. It would just give us a little bit more power, which realistically, we don't really need more power on this build. It's already top tier. Brewmaster Buckle gives us vitality as well, so that's also another scaler here. So the main thing is Serpent's Milk. Peak of the Mountain gives us a lot of increased crit chance, very easy to get. All attributes as well, just amazing piece of gear. And since we don't leech from crits, we leech from damage over time. We don't care about the downside. And then, of course, I said the idols that you must get a high chance on hit to summon a Thorn Totem, because that's going to be the way that you apply most of your poison stacks. So this build is a simple playstyle, pretty much just melee attack and things dies. Like everything else is kind of like automated. Your tornadoes proc automatically, your totems proc automatically, everything procs automatically. You just have to melee. Top tier tankiness, no snapshot needed. Of course, Summon Spriggan is a minion. You could snapshot it. I did include a snapshot for it defensively. I did not include an offensive snapshot, which you could do. I'm going to leave that to you guys. I really don't think you need to snapshot on this build, guys, okay? Like, no, you don't need the snapshot. Incredible single target DPS, one of the highest in the game. Of course, it's not Umbral Blade's level, which is in the billions, but it's still more than 100 million on certain setups, and even approaching 100 million on the tankiest setup, which I have a setup for hardcore as well. So there's a hardcore variant here. You need to click here to be able to change it. I'll ask for this to be changed. But if you click on these little tabs here, you can see that we're using Seed of Yggdrasil, Bastion of Honor, and the Aspirational Planner. We also have Advent of the Erase, since we can get permanent haste from Shattered Worlds. And this is a build which realistically you could get to Uber Aberoth in hardcore and defeat it and farm it and get your relic there. So this is actually realistically obtainable. Okay, so that pretty much covers it up. Okay, no, actually ramp up cons of the build, so they must have cons. I think the biggest one is the average clear speed. It's not the fastest mapper ever, but like all of its pros, the tankiness, the damage makes up for it. It's ramp up damage because you're scaling off of how many stacks of poison and frostbite you have on the attacker. No immunity skill, and melee suffers against certain enemies. Yes, it's melee. It's in an ARPG. All melee builds kind of suffer in ARPGs. Okay, so let's talk about the skills now. So this is a permanent Swarmblade form build. So we're converting all poison chances to frostbite with this node here, frostbites. So what this makes is that because we're stacking a multiplier in Serpent Strike, we are scaling off of however many poison stacks and frostbite stacks the attackers have, the enemy has. What you want to do is balance out your poison and frostbites to get both multipliers almost at the same amount of stacks, so that you get the maximum benefits. If you would get, like, if you have access to 4,000 stacks, but you have 3,000 poison and 1,000 frostbite, because the multiplier is so much bigger here, the maximum damage output will be lower than if you had 2,000 and 2,000. So it's just simple math to optimize damage. And the best way I found to do this was to just convert Swarmblade form into Frostbite. Since everything that you do in Swarmblade form will be converted to, in Swarmblade form, every poison stack, like all your poison chance is converted to Frostbite chance. So because this is for you, you will apply many frostbites, and because your totems will apply many poison stacks with the Serpent's Milk Amulet, that's going to balance it out as much as possible and give you the better result. So yeah, we are going for as much poison chance as possible here, converted as well. You got your Locust as well. You can summon Locust while in game, right? So if you press your Q ability here, you summon the Locust, and these will also apply many frostbite stacks. Since these are the poison chance here is also converted to frostbite, so that's gonna help you a lot on your application of frostbite. This is the node that lets you use Serpent Strike while in Swarmblade form. Basically, your melee attack becomes uses the Serpent Strike tree. You proc the tornadoes, and then you get a lot of base crit chance. Base crit chance is very important, since we're gonna see here that we are scaling our damage based on base crit chance. Why does this build do so much damage? We're gonna talk about Serpent Strike now. So we are using Serpent Venom. It does poison damage over time, prevents enemy from landing crits. Although this preventing enemy from landing crits is actually pretty bad, I would not recommend, if you're playing hardcore or even softcore, to go with this node as your main way of mitigating crits, because it only lasts 1.5 seconds, and 1.5 seconds is not very long, and so you will die to a crit if you only use this. This is why I decided to go mainly with a Summon Spriggan for the base crit and crit avoidance. This is going to make it very easy to cap our crit avoidance without relying on this Serpent Venom. Okay, but let's talk about the damage aspect of it. So why does this build deal so much damage? Is because we have access to 3 huge multiplier that are uncapped. Vitality is uncapped, gives us 2% more damage per vitality. Melee crit chance is uncapped, gives us 2% more damage per melee crit chance. And then we also have more damage for poison and frostbite stacks on the enemy, which these bonuses are doubled against high health enemy, which makes it even crazier. Most builds that have 1 uncapped multiplier usually deal a tremendous amount of damage and eventually gets a cap in the future patch. This one, I don't know why, but it has 3 uncapped multipliers, and it just goes out of control, basically. It kind of goes out of control, and that is the reason why this build does so much damage. So we are optimizing the damage as much as possible. Poison Pen here, we got a kill threshold. We go for some attack speed, and we convert to cold to get some more frostbites. There's a node here, Slither, which makes it so that you get more dodge rating. If you wanted to go into a more defensive aspect of this, you could spec more points into this one and maybe less into this one, maybe not even convert to frostbite. Like, if you want to go more defensive, go for this one. But with 100% block chance, our high EHP, all of these things, even the hardcore version, I don't even go for this node. Just because we really don't need it, and dodge is kind of unreliable, and you will not die to small hits anyways. Tornado is the kind of like a supplemental source of applying many hits. So Tornado itself doesn't do any hits, but you can give it Charge Storm, which casts a Storm Bolt, and you can give it also Churning Orbs, which cast Storm Orb as well. So you increase these frequency as much as possible. You give your tornado as much duration, and then you give yourself some movement speed and attach the tornadoes onto you. So this will make it so that, because we're proccing tornadoes every 4 attacks with this one here, every 4 attacks you'll attach 1 tornado to you. So you scale melee attack speed to try to attach as many tornadoes onto you as possible and get as many hits. It is preference based if you want to go to attach to you or getting a stationary tornado, which will spawn on an enemy. But I prefer this one here, Eye of the Storm. Overall, you can swap between one or another. It doesn't really matter. Torn Totem, we are going for this node here. When totems die or unsummon, they release a poison burst. So if you summon over the limit, they are considered unsummon, and they will release the poison burst, which is a small amount of physical spell damage on hit and inflicts poison. This is very important. This is going to make us apply many poison, and alongside Serpent's Milk, as we've seen here, Serpent's Milk will give us 200% chance of poison on minion hit. So because we're summoning 5 at a time, that is a lot of hits, which will apply a lot of stacks. You'll see your stacks of poison go over the cap of the visual cap of 999. So this tree just basically maximizes all of that. And then Summon Spriggan, we're using it for the base crit chance, which is again a multiplier for Serpent Venom with this node here. And we are also getting crit avoidance, which makes it very easy to cap our crit avoidance with 1 roll on your peak of the mountain, which is very easy to get with multiple LP. and it's target farmable as well. So very, very good. The rest of the stuff that we're doing here, some conversion to Frostbite, not really needed, but it is optimal. And then you go into the tankiness of your companion here, because he can be quite difficult to keep alive in the end game. So keep an eye on him. Remind yourself, keep in mind that the original keybind for moving your companions or any minions, for example, is A. So if I press A, my so I summon this guy. If I press A, as you can see, he moves around like this, and yeah, just makes it easy to like keep alive in the end game. There is some other things that you could do with Summon Spriggan, going to like chance for extra thorns and fire thorns, and then basically snapshot some minion attack speed and stuff like that. Maybe even summon another minion to like get more attack speed as well and apply more stacks. But I think that is just really not needed on this build, and probably not even optimal. Removing the simple playstyle of just melee attacking and having everything proc at once is extremely good. You could also do a version where you don't go for Summon Spriggan, but I'll leave that to you. Other options could include like Maelstrom or specking into Gathering Storm. Gathering Storm, for example, that would give you the conversion to Frostbite, and so you could go for this and then scale a bit of Shock Chance to get some more Frostbites, or you could go into Maelstrom to get access to Haste and Frenzy. But that is kind of like all up to you. I think the best version is absolutely with Summon Spriggan, even though it uses a minion, and I know a lot of people don't like to keep this minion alive in the end game. So feel free to play around with it. This is just the best version that I can think of. So here, if you want to go into additional skill and tips, there are many other tips for you guys in here. So the passives are pretty straightforward. So we are strength stacking because of Bastion of Honor. So we go for strength here. We go for as much health as possible, Hunter's Restoration, and 1 in Natural Attunement. We don't really care about this one. You could put more or less point into this one to help you cap your res. That is totally up to you. And then what you want to go for is unlocking Swarmblade form. That is in the Druid tree. So we go for some health, some strength and attunement. This node is very important. Frostbite chance and minion Frostbite chance. That's going to scale our multiplier. No rage decay out of combat, just quality of life. Attack speed, crit chance. We do not care about the health leech on crit on this one. Don't care at all. We don't care about the 8 points in this one either, since we are always in Swarmblade form. We go for the strength. At this point, you probably have Swarmblade form unlocked. So once you have Swarmblade form unlocked, you need 5 points to the Shaman tree to be able to unlock your Tornado. So you put 5 points into Silent Protector. There's also like a little slider at the bottom here, and you can move with the arrows on your keyboard to tell you exactly the order for the points that you want to put in. Then we go for Ursine Strength, less damage taken from nearby enemies. A must if you are especially a melee build, but even for any build, I would take this on Primalist. Then we go for attack speed while we have an active totem. So this is going to give us a lot of attack speed since we have Thorn Totems summoned all the times. Lots of health. This one is here for the cold res. We need this to cap our res. As I said before, you could also like put more or less point into this one, but this is optimal. 5 points into Shattered Heavens. You get the Frostbite chance and your minion Frostbite chance. Again, this is going to scale your Frostbite dramatically. So this one and the one in the Druid tree are very important to scale your Frostbite chance. And then you go for the crit nodes here, the strength nodes. This one gives you access to only 1 companion, but it gives it more companion health. So if you have like even a few rolls of minion health, for example, on a Jura ring, if you do wish to snapshot some health, this will be another multiplier of the health, which will make it very easy to actually keep him alive. I think the easiest way to keep him alive in very high corruption, the Summon Spriggan, is to use Jura rings with 1 with minion health and 1 with minion dodge. So he'll dodge most of the stuff and he will have a lot of health. Keep in mind that even when your minion is dead on the ground and there's like a little circle to revive him, you do keep all the buffs that he provides you, so long as you stay in range of like, it's about 1 screen range. So yeah, that is still very good. Next, we go into this node here, Rageborn, increased crit chance and rage gain on crit. This one is pretty important to get your rage sustained, especially with Seed of Yggdrasil. It is not that necessary if you don't use Seed, since we are not spending that much rage anyways, and we have access to some rage sustain through Swarmblade form with this node here. But this will help you make it a little bit easier. And then we have access to this here. get the impervious stacks because we're melee and we're hitting quite often. You'll get less damage per stack. And then you go last points into hide skin. So that pretty much covers the passives. Skill usage or rotation. You summon your Spriggan, you go into Swarmblade form, you melee attack, and you win the game. You can summon hives to spawn locust minions if you want to stack more poison frostbite stacks on the target. That's going to help you against bosses, for example, but I don't use this during mapping, basically. Except if there's like you're really weak and there's a really strong monster, but this should not really happen very often. In bossing, you could position your hives strategically so that they don't die too quickly, so you have time to like summon a lot of locusts, and you dive or evade to dodge telegraph boss attacks. Keep your summon Spriggan out of danger, guys. Alright, so here we go over the gearing section. I am not going to go over all of it. I'll go over quickly the most important things that you want to do here. So the hero idols, to summon Torn Totem, we talked about them. You want to get a very high roll of this one very, very quickly. That's going to increase your damage tremendously. If you have a 10% here, it's going to just increase it so good. The next thing that you want here, very important on your idols, chance to apply frailty on hit. It is your main source of frailty, and because you have so many hits, you will always have this. But this is very important. It's going to be a big part of your tankiness. Weaver's Gift is your main source of leech. That is the only source of leech, actually. So that is what you want to, well, the only valuable source of leech, since you're leeching for damage over time. And that is where the biggest part of your damage comes from. Blessings are very important on this build. You got some crit chance blessing, poison chance, frostbite chance. Again, needs no introduction. We've talked about this extensively now. You're scaling your damage off of these. So these are very, very important. We stack as much crit and vitality as possible to maximize all of the multipliers that we have in the Serpent Strike tree. Serpent's Milk, big, very common amulet. Try to get one with, basically, no, actually, this one doesn't roll anything. The main stat that you want is 200% chance of poison on minion hit, and that one is always rolls at 200%. So just grab the any amulet that you can and use it even without LP. This is the starting planner. The items I go for here, the uniques without any LP, are the ones that I would recommend using even over any other item in the game. Rule of the Simoon just makes it very, very easy to cast tornadoes. So basically how this works is that Rule of the Simoon, once you proc it once, it will proc infinitely on the target forever. So that alone, as you can see here, my stacks of poison and frostbites, that's already by itself 400 stacks of poison and 200 stacks of frostbite. I am not doing anything. 500. Not doing anything here. Right? So how this works is that you get a chance to cast a stationary fire tornado at a nearby enemy on hit 2 times per 3 seconds. So that is the main thing that is gonna apply many hits, since our tornadoes apply Gathering Storm and Churning Orbs and all of these hits. Brewmaster Buckle, farmable from a Woven Echo. It has very good defensive stats and vitality, which scales our damage. Peak of the Mountain, increased crit chance. Peak of the Mountain, I did not put the mountain boots here because I would not use these boots without LP. They're just too slow. But once you get them with only 1 LP and movement speed, I would use them, right? So these are very slow boots. So before you get access to those, just use some regular pair of boots. But these can be farmed in the same dungeon, the Lightless Arbor. So very, very easy to get going. Pretty much everything else is very easy to get going. Some crit rings, right? Weaver's Gift. I would use this even without LP, but I just put this here with 5 melee crit chance. This is your main source of leech. You want to use this. Try to get crit chance on it, or any other stat that you could get that would be beneficial. Melee attack speed, chance of poison on hit, and poison penetration. But melee crit is the best one. Then we go over the other items. Mantle the Pale Ox gives us a lot here. +2 to strength, speed, and skills. It's Swarmblade form. 16 strength is also armor. Movement speed, increased health, less damage taken. It's just so good. Try to get vitality on this one. Twisted Heart of Eucharis. A lot of people don't understand why Twisted Heart is used on many builds that don't cast spells or don't have plus, like, necrotic or elemental spells, or don't convert the ward to health. The main reason is that it has an implicit of 20% increased health and 16 strength. That is already by itself an excellent item, and then you can guarantee a slam on it, which makes it best in slot for a lot of builds. That is the main reason. 20 increased health, 16 strength. We are scaling our damage off of strength. We're scaling our armor off of strength. We are also getting +1 to LE spells, which gives us +1 to tornado, and then that gives us access to another point. And then also we get 100% crit chance on this to scale our base crit chance from all of our gear. Bastion of Honor, if you have 86 strength, that means that you have 100% block chance against nearby enemies within 4 meter. 4 meter is not that far from your character, but because you're a melee build, this is essentially best in slot. And that kind of covers everything else. Vitality idols are very, very good. Yeah, that's pretty much self-explanatory for everything else. So aspirational, we go for Shattered Worlds because this is just like basically a better Twisted Heart. 10% less damage taken, 5 base crit, 10 all attributes, +1 all skills. You have haste, immune to slow. Increased effect of frenzy, we don't really care. So that would be the role that you don't care, the increased effect of frenzy. But you would want a big crit chance and all attribute roll on this one. And of course, yeah, of course, Red Rings of Atlaria. This one is actually a staple now. Imprints are back. They fixed the bug with imprints where it was harder to get the same unique that you've imprinted. And red rings are back on the menu. They are pretty easy to get once you get your first one. The next ones are obtainable fairly quickly. And if you have trouble farming red rings, just if you are COF, spend favor on ring prophecies and you will get one very, very quickly, I promise you. So here we talked about the build scaling. We've already talked about pretty much all of this. You can go into more details into the damage and defense section here. The loot filter, we have brand new loot filters on max roll, which pulls all of the affixes directly from a planner, whether it is from a build guide or your own planner as well. You can make your own planner and actually get the loot filter. And so you select your own level of strictness that you want, and this will explain exactly what it is. So the regular level of strictness is usually for leveling characters. Since this is an end game guide, you probably want to go with strict. Very strict is where I think most people will end up at, and then just unclick certain boxes. But there are also other options with uber strict and giga strict. If you have trouble understanding, read the article here, Understanding Max Roll Filters. Everything is explained in detail about the loot filter. And if you have any feedback about it, please give me some feedback. But yeah, basically that is the loot filter. Some little FAQs. Is snapshotting mandatory? No. What is snapshotting? Here I explain what snapshotting is and when does it apply and how do you snapshot properly on this build. I do have a planner for snapshotting. It is not necessary, as I said, optional. But if you want to snapshot, maximizing attunement to maximize this node here, dodge rating per attunement, that will give you a lot of dodge rating. And yeah, just make it even tankier. So this setup maximizes as much attunement as possible and even maximizes the idols to get as much benefits as possible from your Spriggan companion. And then also it gives it a lot of dodge rating, minion health regen, so he will always stay alive. So that pretty much sums up this this build guide. So overall, if we go into the summary here, it's a Swarmblade form build. Serpent Venom is the main damage source, which is a single stack of poison damage over time and prevents crits. The playstyle is just a melee attack. It scales in very unique ways with vitality, melee crit chance, even beyond 100%, and poison and frostbite stacks on the enemy. Weaver's Gift is essential to your sustain because that's your only source of leech. And then, while they're not mandatory, you don't need any uniques to play this build, but Serpent's Milk, Peak of the Mountain, and the idols with chance to summon a Thorn Totem on hit, these items just enable completely absurd damage scaling. So yeah, rush them as quickly as possible. I hope you enjoyed this build, guys. This is a top tier build. It's already in the tier list. It is absolutely S tier in the end game. This is like one of the biggest things that we've missed from this patch. It is incredibly nice that we see still builds being discovered as we go through the patch. We are more than a month into the patch now, into the season. EHG has also stated that they are going to be they seem to be on track for a 3-4 months before the release of the next season. It's just a really, really good time to be a fan of Last Epoch right now, with some endgame pinnacle challenges with Uber Aberoth, which is, in my opinion, the best part of the patch. Yeah, it just gives you a goal to look towards to, and this is another insanely good build to path towards that goal of killing Uber Aberoth. I am sure, guys, if you get endgame planner on Serpent Venom Druid, you will kill Uber Aberoth. I promise you guys. See you guys all in the next video. Hope you liked it. If you liked it, leave a like on the video. It helps me a lot. I don't usually ask for this, but you know, sometimes a little reminder is quite nice. See you guys all in the next video.